COVID is showing how much Democrats hate us. They're also trying to keep conservatives out of civil life. And we have some Olympic updates. And I remember when Olympians were actually tough. This is Gene, and you're listening to Dumbasses Talking Politics. Hey, this is Gene. Welcome back to Dumbasses Talking Politics. Okay, so COVID has become a huge issue again. I remember when it was 15 days to settle the curve, and now it's been a year and 7 months, 7 months, 8 months. We're still dealing with this damn thing. Well, infections are way up. I think I mentioned this before. I can't remember if I did or not in a previous story, which really had nothing to do with infections. But here's the thing. Infections are up. They're up a lot. They're up probably a couple 100%. And deaths are still way down. Way down. Like less than 0.5% of the people that, I think it's like 0.2%. Or 0.02% of the people who catch it actually end up dying. Those who've been vaccinated, and to give you an example of how serious this is, New York had a 7-day average death rate of 1. So every day, maybe one person, yes, their COVID numbers went up, but only one person pretty much died of this stuff, and this has been going on for a while. The Delta variant isn't actually killing anyone. And the reason it's not killing anyone is because either if you're vaccinated, and a lot of older people who are most susceptible are vaccinated, or you've already caught it before. We're at herd immunity already. We're well over 70% of vaccinations and a vaccination. Now, granted, people who are vaccinated can get it. Yes, they can get the Delta variant, but most of the time, they just get the, what do they call it? Asymptomatic, which means you can't even tell they have it. So it's not that big of a deal. But of course, the Democrats are going to declare this an emergency. Today, the CDC has reversed the mask mandate, saying that people should be wearing masks again, no matter vaccination status. But they should wear masks where infection rates are actually the highest. So they're not really saying you have to wear masks everywhere. If you're in Kentucky, where they don't really have a lot of COVID, and I made that up, I don't know, Kentucky may have. But if you're in someplace that doesn't have a lot of COVID spread, you don't need to wear masks. But this does include schools. So, and I'm going to talk a little later why I just think this is stupid. So they also mandated vaccines for all federal employees. Question for you, why mandate them? Why mandate vaccines? Because you're making us wear masks anyway. I am vaccinated. And I swore, I told Josie today, if they mandate vaccines, mandate masks today, I'm just not going to shop. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go where I have to go to get the minimum. I'm just going to stop buying things. Let the economy. I don't care. It's not saving me anything. Matter of fact, I think I'll be absolutely fine with it. I'll be saving a ton of money. I even told Josie that. If she wants to go to the casino, they better not be requiring masks, because if they are, I will not go to the casino. I will go nowhere. I will literally go buy myself a couple of freaking lemon trees and eat lemons for the rest of my life. But here's the thing. I'm sure I've said this before. The left needs perpetual emergency. They never want this to end. If the pandemic ends, and the pandemic has ended, Democrats will have to give up their power. Guess what? They don't want to give up their power. Donnie Deutsch of MSNBC made a really creepy remark, which basically tells the world exactly what they think of people who don't agree with them. And it's kind of ironic because they keep talking about racism and crap like that. And it really had nothing to the fact that his the fact that people aren't getting the vaccines, they're typically not Republicans or conservatives. That's what's really weird about it. So this idiot, he calls us idiots, but this guy basically said, hey, we should vaccinate those idiot rubes because they're too stupid to know any better. I can't believe this. Listen to this character.
I think it was a lot harder the first time around because we're creating new behavior versus returning to kind of behavior that we've already been through. So look, whether it's a mandate of mask, a mandate of vaccine, is at this point, there is a percentage of the population that who cares whether they're angry or upset about that. This is just, there's 330 million people in this country. We need to protect ourselves. And as Willie and Alicia mentioned, look, there's been mandates on throughout time. I grew up having to get a smallpox vaccine. We all did, other vaccines also. So I'm done worrying about what people think. I'm done worrying about, is there going to be a firestorm, whether it's a mandated mask, whether it's a mandated vaccine. There's an idiot percentage of this population that just needs to be told what to do. And guess what? You don't have a choice. Too bad.
Well, thank God that Führer Deutsch, and I call him douche in my deal, doesn't have really a say in that whole thing. And F you. By the way, should people be concerned about mandates? Yeah, they should be concerned about mandates because they're taking your freedoms away. Gavin Newsom had a stupider comment. So yes, I am concerned about mandates. And by the way, I wore a mask. I am vaccinated. And I think my dad, who doesn't want to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. Okay, you're going to have to live with it. You're going to have to live with it. You're going to have to do things that I don't need to do. But if you don't want to get it, that's fine. That's your freedom. And what's he bitching about? Danny Douche. What is he bitching about? He's got the vaccine, so what does he care? And by the way, who the hell are these people? What are they afraid of being vaccinated? This type of tyranny has been implemented before. It's been implemented before and it never works, and it ends up causing nothing but problems. This is a test as far as I'm concerned. Now, this could be seen as a conspiracy theory. I don't know. I don't care. All I'm saying is this is a test. How much can they push before they realize they pushed too far? And I guarantee you we're going to see this in 2022. And by the way, I'm so sick and tired of hearing you were mandated to get smallpox vaccine. Smallpox was like 10 times more communicable than this disease. And if you caught smallpox, there was a 30% chance you were going to die. So I can't stand when they make a comparison between a disease that is far more transmissible and 1/3 of the population died of it versus a cold, essentially. Hey, I got news for you. COVID is the flu. It's never going away. It's always going to be here. It's always going to be here. It's always going to change. I mean, now they're talking about a Lambda strain coming out. I mean, it'll never end. It's going to be just like influenza, where influenza changes every year. And the only way to get rid of it is to get it. What I really find amazing about this little comment that Donnie Douche decided to say is this is the same kind of comment that cost Hillary Clinton the 2016 election against Trump. She obviously is an elitist that thinks she's above the law, much like Donnie Douche. To these people, regular people are deplorables and idiots. Now, Hillary basically called everyone deplorables and lost the election because of it. But now the left is just saying that on a daily basis. Joe Biden and Jen Psaki are saying it on a daily basis. Calling people right of left garbage all the time and being too dumb to live without without the great wisdom and intelligence of the government used to be a bad thing. Now it's considered, it was considered one of Hillary's greatest gaffes. But not anymore. Now it's, But no, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Because guess what? People aren't watching CNN anymore. People aren't watching MSNBC anymore. Everything you see on MSNBC and CNN are basically memes on Twitter. I also am getting really tired of the demonization of people the elites don't agree with. We're ants. We're cockroaches. We're white trash, bigots, racists, homophobes, xenophobes. Good news is that people are getting tired of being called names. Joe Biden has lost a lot of his popularity. 40%, 60% of the people around the country say, hey, we're going in the wrong direction here. CNN and MSNBC, who are the greatest sinners when it comes to demonizing people, they're losing viewership left and right. And I think it's just people are getting tired of being called names by the left. And when I said left of right of left, I mean literally a liberal is being cursed out, which is just absolutely insane. Finally, and this is something that really gets me, how wise and intelligent is the government? They overspend our money constantly. They can't stop crime. They can't stop the surge at the border. And all those people, the emergency we're supposed to be living under, none of those people that are crossing the border are being tested for COVID. They think Abe Lincoln is a racist. They're tearing down our statues and think it's okay. They think men and women are exactly the same. Hell, they think men can magically become women and get pregnant and have a menstrual period. In San Francisco, they're spending $20,000 on a single trash can. Do these people sound like that they are so wise and intelligent that I'm going to trust everything they say? Good news, 80% of people do not trust what the government is saying. I don't know. But emergency is needed. Enter Gavin Newsom, the garbage governor of California, who has right now about a 50-50 chance of being recalled. I don't think he'll be recalled because I think California voting is completely corrupted. But right now the polls are saying he's not doing great. He said this about people who were not getting the vaccine. And I don't know, listen to this, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be embraced by a lot of people who want him recalled.
Talk about masks. Of course, LA County has brought back their mask mandate for indoors regardless of vaccination status. I want to put up on the screen the growth in cases. I've got the 6 weeks before the indoor mask mandate for vaccinated people ended on June 15th. And then you see the 6 weeks or so since. And there, of course, is this growth in cases. Is it time, Governor, to bring back a universal mask mandate regardless of vaccination status there in California?
Look, we don't even have to have that debate if we can just get everybody vaccinated that's not vaccinated, that's refusing to get vaccinated, that's living vaccine-free and impacting the rest of us. It's like drunk drivers. You don't have the right to go out and drink and drive and put everybody else at risk, including your own life at risk.
Talk about masks. Of course, LA County has brought back their masks.
This is one of the reasons why this guy should not be governor. He's an idiot. Drunk drivers, you're comparing drunk drivers to guys who just don't want to get the vaccine? Really? Okay. First things first about this whole thing. People are pointing to new cases of infections. They're failing to point out that nobody's really dying of this disease. And now we're beginning to find out there are bad things that are happening with our current policies. There is you have 5 times a chance to actually commit suicide as a teenager than you do of catching COVID, because teenagers are tired of being alone all the time. And there's another study out of Vietnam that says the CO2 levels of children who wear masks all day are actually getting sick. And by the way, children under 12, you think they're taking care of those masks? I don't think so. So this whole thing is absolutely crazy. I also want to point out this is coming from a guy who actually, during the crux of the pandemic, during the worst times of the pandemic, was eating a $2,000 meal at the French Laundry in Sonoma, unmasked, with a bunch of frickin' doctors who were giving money to his campaign. He's a hypocrite, basically, is what I'm coming to. Another problem with this belief that he brought up is that only the right and Tucker Carlson's followers are the ones that are not getting vaccinated. This is ridiculous. It's also a lie, a flat-out lie. Chicago, hardly a Tucker audience, or filled with conservatives, actually has less than a 50% vaccination rate. Blacks and Hispanics are vaccinated at about 35 to 40%. Most blue cities are not meeting the vaccination rates. Now let's get to that idiocy about the whole drunk driving thing. When people are determining, and I'm one of those, and my father is one of those, and Josie, my fiance, is one of those. When we're trying to determine whether to get this vaccine or not, we use risk reward, okay, to determine whether to get the vaccine or not. If I'm 20 years old, the chances of me getting sick may be kind of high, but dying, no. And I will sit there and weigh that with the side effects that actually come to the vaccine. By the way, this vaccine has been tested, but it's not been approved by anybody. So we really don't know. Like, I've gotten the vaccine. We don't know what the side effects are going to be soon. And for maybe a few years. I may also want to weigh that decision in with my family. Okay? And so, example, I wasn't going to get the vaccine. I got the vaccine because my daughter wanted me to, and my dad didn't want to get it. And I thought I'd get it so I don't spread it to my dad. And my daughter wanted me to get it. That's fine. I'm good with it. That weighed into my decision to get the vaccine because I wasn't going to get the vaccine. Drunk drivers, on the other hand, do not weigh anything. And by the way, it's not illegal not to get a vaccine. It is illegal to drunk drive. What drunk drivers do is irresponsible. And it's typically irresponsible, and they do the irresponsible thing because their judgment's impaired. Well, I got news for you. When I make a decision, my judgment is not impaired. So what Gavin Newsom said pretty much explains why we're not seeing Gavin Newsom. We're seeing a recall election with Gavin Newsom. The insults just keep on coming, and it's not going to help with the Ken doll. It's not going to help the Ken doll win his. It's not going to help the Ken doll win his recall vote. It's not. His hypocrisy during this pandemic is part of the reason he's in trouble. Finally, do you think that Gavin Newsom, just listening to him, sounds intelligent enough that he should be making all of my decisions and life choices? I think not. And that's pretty much what I wanted you to get from this whole first section that's gone almost 20 minutes. Now, the left isn't just going to be happy enough to take control of all institutions, and they're not going to be happy enough just canceling people. They want to completely eliminate anybody, left of right, right of left, from being able to work in civil society. That's what they're doing right now. USA Today released an article stating that the money trading site PayPal is joining up with the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, to find out how extremists and hate groups are funded. Both that organization and PayPal say that the results of the search will be shared with the financial industry, policymakers, and law enforcement. Now, the ADL used to be a pretty decent group, but now they're just a leftist group. And PayPal is kind of like a neutral service provider. So I'm not and neutral service providers aren't supposed to be getting involved in all this thing. And I also want to point out that these guys are very open. Oh, yeah, we're going to send it to law enforcement, I can understand. Policymakers? The industry? Do you smell a growth of cancel culture here? In a statement, PayPal said, quote, by identifying partners across sectors with common goals and complementary resources, we can make an even greater impact than any of us could do on our own. We have a unique opportunity to further understand how the hate spreads, develop key insights that will inform the efforts of the financial industry, law enforcement, and our communities in mitigating extremist threats. By the way, what does that mean? What do they mean, extremist? I would think a lot of things they've been talking about really aren't that extremist. But then again, I think I'd be considered an extremist. The ADL website says, the initiative with PayPal will be led through the ADL Center of Extremism, a leading authority on extremism, terrorism, and hate. Hate's the big word here because hate really has kind of an open meaning. Hate isn't just, KKK or anybody like that. Hate seems to be a little bit more open on what it means. PayPal and ADL will focus on further uncovering and disrupting the financial pipelines that support extremist and hate movements. In addition to extremist and anti-government organizations, the initiative will focus on actors and networks spreading and profiting from all forms of hate and bigotry against any community. Let's go one more quote before I actually comment on some of the BS that these guys are actually talking about. Quote, this is the ADL CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt. He said, all of us, including the private sector, have a critical role in playing in fighting the spread of extremism and hate. With this new initiative, we're setting a new standard for companies to bring their expertise to critical social issues. Social issues. Okay, that's kind of important. So in other words, extremism and hate is social issues. Like maybe, I don't know, men are women, men can't be women, and women can't be men. I don't want my kids being converted from a boy to a girl, or I don't want them being taught, I don't want transvestites reading school books, storybooks to them. We have a unique opportunity to further understand how hate spreads and develop key insights that will inform the efforts of the financial industry, law enforcement, and our communities to mitigating extremist threats. Now, on the face of it, this is scary because this is actually what the Nazis did under Hitler. They demonized all those that didn't go along with the Nazi propaganda. That includes Jews and people of color, by the way. We keep hearing Hitler was kind of a racist. Once demonized, these people are ostracized from society and being able to actually work with society. This is their goal. Look at what they did to Trump. He lost his ability to sell his campaign products on one of these sites because he was considered an extremist. He was president of the United States at the time, for Christ's sake. He's hardly an extremist. But remember the line from Trump. They don't hate you because they hate me. They hate me because they hate you. This is exactly it. Extremism in this whole thing is not defined. Hey, you want to get rid of the KKK? No problem. I don't care. I think we've already done that already. I'm sorry. I just don't know a hell of a lot of right-wing extremists. I don't know a lot of white supremacists because they just aren't really out there, and they're very unpopular groups. But extremism is not defined. But I bet I know who will define it. It'll be groups like BLM and the LGBTQ plus community and other leftist, quote, scholars, end quote. And guess who they're going to consider an extremist? You and me. And they want us gone. They can't stick us in the gulags yet, though that's coming. All they are trying to do is get us banned from civil society. They know they can do it now. They're getting cooperation from these neutral service providers. They did it to Trump. It's my... Now, let's be positive here. Maybe this isn't a terribly bad thing. Conservatives like the Daily Wire and Blaze TV are actually expanding their platforms to include things like movies, television shows, and books that the left has already banned. This might be a chance for making a lot more rich people in our society. Because those people who are willing, have the guts, and have the stance to sit there and create more products, create more services, and even our own institutions will be available. Not just our own, and even institutions like education. And it'll be available for all, not just the left. So here's my advice to you. You want to be a rich man? Rich woman? Rich kid? Start coming up with something that will change our society so that anybody can truly be involved. I mean, we already had a parlor and that was thrown out. But maybe you need to create your own parlor that is true with free speech. Because right now they're calling everything... Today, the ACLU even released an article where they said that the Second Amendment was racist. These guys are calling everything in our Constitution racist right now. They want to take away your freedoms. The Constitution was made for freedoms. But they're taking it away. They're taking cancel culture to its logical conclusion. We're going to cut you off from society. Mask mandates, vaccine mandates, joining leftist organizations with neutral service platforms. This is all the same thing. It's all happening. Okay, well, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna go straight to the updates from the Olympics. So the women's soccer team continues to be very mediocre. They tied Australia today or last night or whichever it was, 0-0, but they did get to the next round, so they still have a shot at the gold medal. The kicker is their shot is beginning to look really bad. This is going to be elimination rounds until they get to the quarterfinals. And all we can do is everyone cross their fingers and let those gals get one more frickin' loss, and then they'll be done. And then they can go home and they can discuss how they should be earning more money than the men and all that stuff. Simone Biles has pulled out of the women's team gymnastics competition. That was the shock of the day. And for me, that was a shock. She wasn't injured. We initially thought she was injured because she did have one jump that was kind of iffy. And then she just said, no, she needed to take care of her own mental health care, her own mental health. And she decided to leave the Olympics because of all the pressure. Now, I'm sorry. I really like Simone Biles, but this crap just shows me she's weak. I remember when Olympians did this crap because they were strong. She just lost me as a fan. And it's because she basically abandoned her teammates. She abandoned... It just was a very... I think it's just a very self-centered way of doing it. Get your head out of your ass, jump on the pommel horse, and you win the Olympics. The women ended up... A women's gymnastic team, without Simone Biles getting a medal. I think she didn't get a medal. She doesn't deserve a medal if she quit on him. They ended up getting second place to Russia, so they ended up getting silver. Good for them. I'm thrilled for them. I mean, silver. I remember in 1980 when the women's won their first gold medal. They couldn't beat Romania. They couldn't beat the Soviet Union. Nadia Comaneci. They really had issues, but I just think, wow, we've lost a lot of heroes in this Olympics. And so far, 2 judo fighters have been eliminated and were sent home because they refused to fight an Israeli judo fighter. They won't fight because they wouldn't fight because of the occupation of Israel and Palestine. And I'm putting that in air quotes. Of course, there is no Palestine, and Israel is under constant bombardment from the Palestinians, or whatever they are. As a matter of fact, just last week, they were dropping balloons filled with bombs on Israel. And it was just kind of like, you guys got to be kidding me. They just hate Jews. Let's call it. They hate Israel. They hate the Jews. They hate Israel. That's what it comes down to. So, to those Arab judo fighters, goodbye and good riddance. And finally, we've got to do our TikTok video. Honestly, I really don't have much to say about this TikTok video. It's just, yeah, I do actually, but very little. So let's just listen to it.
I describe myself as agender because internally, when I think of me, I don't associate me with any gender. And not in a way that's like, I could go any way, I'm cool with all pronouns. I am specifically no thank you to gender. A lot of people would say, but you look so femme. I know. It's useful sometimes. I grew out my hair this long because I've been a performer for 6 years, and I found that I got better tips when I flipped my hair around, so I look that way. But when I think inside and I introspect about what I want from gender, powerful, intimidating, biblically accurate angel. I don't really feel gender euphoria at all. I just don't want it. For me, gender isn't a part of my identity. Gender is a tool that I use to get what I want. If you're following along and questioning your identity at home, take a second to think about what exactly you want from gender and what part of it gives you euphoria. And like and follow for more gender fuckery from this series this week as we talk about movement and gender presentation in the moment that I started questioning my gender.
Okay, these people. Okay, do you know why she's a femme? Because she's a girl. You look so femme. Yeah, because you're a girl. And you let your hair grow out because you're a performer and you get bigger tips. So she's a stripper. Is essentially what she's saying. These guys are not. She uses gender to get what she wants. Here's a newsflash. That sounds like a woman. It sounds like your gender is actually female because that's pretty much what women do. Josie does it all. I love her, but Josie does it all the time. She uses her womanly wiles to get pretty much what she wants. You know what she really does sound like? And I really don't need gender for this. She sounds like a sociopath and a narcissist. But you know something? Sounds like a woman nonetheless. Okay, that's it. Hope you guys had a great day. Visit my website at dumbassestalkingpolitics.com so you can actually see some of the video on this. Because if you actually looked at, who's this broad? What's this broad's name? Oh, I can't see what her name is. But, yeah, this gal looks like a girl. Yes, she's got something on her nose and her makeup's really overdone. But you can actually look at the video, look at all the videos I have, and look at the links. So have a good day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gene, and you've listened to Dumbasses Talking Politics.